Hi, my name is Zach Hoffman. I chose to present about Eddie Adams, the American photographer and photojournalist. He's born in 1933 and died in 2004. This here is a picture of him in Vietnam, and this is part of his 4 years of his 50-year career. When Eddie Adams was preparing to die, he contacted Donald Winslow and told him that he did not want his obituary to begin Eddie Adams, the photographer best known for his iconic photograph of Vietnam, the Saigon execution. Instead, he cried when his friend, the general, died. He did not want that photo to be the defining moment of his career. He's obsessed with winning a Pulitzer Award, but not for that type of photograph. He was born in 1933 in the United States. He learned photography from his high school newspaper team. He joined the Marine Corps at 18 and was a combat camera in the Korean War, following the Marines wherever the action went. This is where he started his first photographic project, documenting the demilitarized zone that separated North Korea from South Korea. He had the Eddie Adams Workshop at the end of his life, which taught photojournalists how to do his own craft. He was very entrepreneurial and saved up $25 getting his first camera when he was in high school. For his photographic career, he's a wedding and portrait photographer involved with newspapers and journalism from a very young age. In the Marine Corps, he's combat camera, but after the Marine Corps, he worked for Associated Press, Life magazine, and Parade magazine, as long as freelance work. He received over 500 awards and shot for many iconic celebrities such as Fidel Castro, Ronald Reagan, Malcolm X, Richard Nixon, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The list just goes on and on and on. He even shot for Egyptian presidents and ambassadors. This is Ronald Reagan. This was part of his article, How to Stay Fit, the President's Personal Exercise Program. This was shot in 1983, and Ronald Reagan is lifting weights, as can be seen here. The following year, Eddie Adams shot for Fidel Castro. He said that he was a likable, funny guy. He was one of the few Americans that were able to go hunting with Fidel Castro. And Fidel Castro actually shot 73 ducks in 3 hours. He only missed one and was very upset about that. Eddie Adams says that because our government says that he's no good, you're supposed to hate him for being this man, this dictator that you really don't know anything about. He believed that was pure propaganda. This is part of his work from the Human Rights Leaders Project. This is Mother Teresa cradling an armless orphan. He followed her in her hometown and around the missions that she set up around India and the rest of the world. She later won a Nobel Peace Prize that year. This is the photograph that Eddie Adams was obsessed over and wanted to win the Pulitzer Award for. He's very upset when he learned that this photograph wasn't even submitted for that year to win. Instead, it went to a man who just took a quick snapshot of JFK's assassin being shot himself. This is JFK's wife receiving the American flag that was laid over her husband's coffin. This is Louis Armstrong, another work of his celebrity work. This is him on opening night in Las Vegas, the very famous jazz trumpeter. This was when Richard Nixon visited China in 1971. This is part of the China's Honor Guard, and they're in their drill and ceremony uniform in formation. This guard here is looking away from all the other soldiers, questioning why he's doing what they are doing. This is part of Eddie Adams' most prideful work. This is from Vietnam. This was taken in Thailand, and these are Vietnamese refugees. And he's been to refugee camps all around the world by this time. But what struck him the most about this is he said that no child was smiling. hence the name of the project, Boat of No Smiles. He was very moved by this and actually wrote an essay which allowed 200,000 Vietnamese refugees to be accepted into the United States. He boarded the boat with these refugees and was towed out to sea by Thailand Marines. Note, the child looks like it is practically dead. There were 50 men, women, and children crammed on a small 30-foot fishing boat. This is part of his project, The Untouchables. This is a young mother and her child. These were two women in India who were labeled untouchables because they were the lowest economic class and were not given any work. If they were, it's very low end jobs. At this time, there's 160 million people who were untouchables. Gandhi addressed them as children of God that needed to be helped. Eddie Adams was also a documentarian photographer as a photojournalist, and he really sought to bring the suffering of the poor and hungry to light. These are Haitian women lined up for food. They have their food bowls, and as you can see, they look very hungry. He was very emotionally connected to children. These are young Haitian children inside their village, but they all look happy and are all smiling despite the horrible situation that they're in. He often saw children in war zones and refugee camps and is quoted as saying that he had to turn his head away many times when he was taking photos of children just so that emotionally it wouldn't affect him. This is part of his project documenting the Cambodian genocide. There's many photographs that you can look up on your own of this, of starving children and young girls and young women that are dead because of the regime. This is part of his Vietnam coverage. This is a young Lance Corporal from Washington shaving in his trench. As you can see, the frame meanders out into the battle zone. He has a flak jacket on, his bulletproof vest, and uses his helmet as a sink to shave in. This is from the Battle of Saigon. This is a woman and her child. They're both wounded. This battle killed thousands of civilians and wounded hundreds more. North Vietnamese troops would often fire mortar rounds into the city and go in with explosive to inflict damage on key infrastructure. This is another photograph from Saigon. Eddie Adams had a project that focused solely on hands, and this is a dead North Vietnamese soldier. Here are Marines going to their showers from their outpost. If you note all the weapons they have pistols, rifles, and ammunition. But when you take away those, it just looks like young kids going to the beach. This was one of Eddie Adams' most favorite photographs. They were ambushed by sniper fire in a village, and he loved the expression of the woman cradling her child, protecting her, and he was laying on his stomach when he took this. This is his most famous photograph. He didn't feel any remorse taking this photograph. He just saw it as another act of war as the general is protecting his homeland, executing the prisoner here who had killed hundreds of people. This is very reminiscent of Lewis Hines' work as the photographer captures the subject staring straight into the camera. This man worked for $8 a day in the coal mining industry. Here's another reminiscent work of Lewis Hine. He's documenting the building of the World Trade Center, much like Lewis Hine did with the Empire State Building. His significance is that he's a self-taught photographer. He's not completely a social documentary photographer or a humanist. He's somewhere in the lines of a photojournalist. He created a very intimate level of war photojournalism that people would not be able to see other than that. He has thousands of photographs, but he's only known for 4 years, and I find that astonishing. Eddie Adams is quoted as saying, "A photograph can change the world and move mountains," and that is clearly true when looking at his work. Thank you.